Thank you, Lisa, and a warm good morning to all of you. It's great to have you here, and I'm delighted to this opportunity presenting our operations within Secure Communication. Magnus Skogberg is my name, and I head this operation. I joined Sectra as of last year, and I am gradually tuning into my new role, and I must say it's tremendously stimulating, and I'm truly impressed by what I have seen so far. I've joined a company with a lot of skilled people, knowledgeable people, delivering and producing excellent and world-class products and services in the segments where we operate. I've a long background within defense and security, and before joining Sectra, I was working for the Saab Group. Thereby I have quite a lot of experience from the defense sector, and I'm thinking about the specificities, such as the political aspects and regulatory topics of that industry, complex and often sometimes lengthy sales processes, as well as all the long-term programs, and not to forget the close collaboration together with both customers and end users to be able to create the capabilities that they need. I've had various positions within marketing, sales, strategy and management, and always been working at the intersection of technology and business. And also I've been into different product areas throughout the years, aviation, fighter aircraft, training and support systems, as well as unmanned systems. And always it has been a lot of high tech and that type of technology. I have a Master of Science in Industrial Engineering and Management, and also been studying engineering and management in both France and Germany. So there has been a lot of international context in what I have been doing throughout the years. I will use the same setup for my presentation, start off with an overview of what we do, talk about our top-level goals, and then go into the market position we hold and where we're heading for the future. So, in a nutshell, we're about 130 dedicated and skilled people working to support defense organizations and authorities. And we do that by offering advanced encryption products and services to defense organizations. We also offer security services mainly for critical infrastructure segment. And we didn't start yesterday. We have a thorough experience and background of 45 years within cybersecurity. And I think it's fair to say that in many ways we are and we have been pioneers and front runners within our business. We used to say that we provide security that improves both the availability and the efficiency of the critical functions in our society. And going into our advanced encryption products, here we offer a number of different things. Part of our portfolio is about so-called high insurance cryptographic products. And those are meant to be used for national security. We use here specific customer purpose-built equipment where we have the full control of components and all the production chains here. And that means these systems can handle very sensitive information up to the classification level of top secret EU and NATO secret information. And the customers in this segment typically are defense organizations, governments, ministries of foreign affairs, ministries of defense, as well as multilateral organizations, EU and NATO. We also serve a segment that are still requesting high security for exchanging information and accessing information between organizations and authorities and within them, as well to enable people working in these organizations to access this information when they are remotely somewhere. And here we have a bigger volume and also other expectations when it comes to price, and there is another price sensitivity. And here we use standardized commercial off-the-shelf equipment. However, we make sure to have these secured in various ways, and to make sure also that the systems can be integrated in a smooth way within the existing IT infrastructures of these organizations. When talking about high assurance crypto solutions and communication systems, what we mean by this is that they are approved by the national security agencies. We work closely together with them to make sure that we meet the highest standards. They follow the process from the design throughout the development, and they make thorough assessments and evaluations of risks and vulnerabilities. They look at the security models, what types of design principles we have, and the algorithms used. And they overlook all the security aspects throughout the whole production and development chain. And out come these approved products that can be used to handle national secrets within these organizations. There is also a commercial segment, but we are not targeting that. We are targeting the approved products market. Then aside our communication systems, we're also serving a market for critical infrastructure. And here, since some years back, we have developed a technical platform and a service offering to make sure that we can meet and support the ever-growing vulnerabilities when critical infrastructure and traditional industrial control systems are more and more connected to IT networks and even to the internet. And we've seen that traditional IT security companies, they tend to focus primarily on the IT side, and sometimes lack the appropriate ways to handle an efficient monitoring of the industrial control systems, and that's why we have chosen to go into this segment. And we install data loggers and systems to capture the important information. All sensitive information is always remaining at the customer site, and we follow and monitor what's happening in a 24/7 security operations center. And here the customer base traditionally is critical industry, it's process industry, and energy companies, for instance. Then some examples of our products or from the product portfolio. We provide mobile communication systems, and the backbone of the product range is the Tiger system. This is a mobile phone for secret level communication. It's using the standard commercial telecom network, but it can also be using connections through direct Ethernet or satellite communication. And it's very easy to use, it's stable, it's versatile, and this has really become a de facto standard within its niche. Then we have the network encryption systems, where the security level classification goes up to top secret and EU, NATO secret information. And these systems are for high data throughput, high speed, to connect different data centers, nodes in networks together, and handling the top-level classified information. And when it comes to the segment we serve, broader for authorities, we use the commercial COTS or available technology. However, we make sure to control the security mechanisms and the integrity of these systems, and that they use the right encryption. And thereby we achieve what we need, and we can handle the so-called restricted level information with these devices. The market that we address is defense organizations, and authorities, and primarily within EU and NATO countries. Sweden and the Netherlands, they have a special position for us. We look at them as our home countries or home markets. And of course, we're a Swedish company from the beginning, working extremely closely with the Swedish authorities. The Netherlands has been a bridgehead into the NATO context, and there we have not only sales activities, but we have operations as well, including production in that country. When it comes to the critical infrastructure business, our market focus is on Sweden. The overall goals we follow is that we want to be a leading provider of advanced encryption products for defense organizations and authorities. We shall deliver high-end security services for critical infrastructure and industrial IT and OT. And of course, as Torbjörn was talking about before, we need and we must have satisfied and recurring customers to this, because that's the way to build the profitable growth over time. So some words on the current market position we have. We have about 200 million as an annual revenue, and 40% out of this is recurring. We have a very stable customer base with low churn. And if we look back during the last 10 years, we can see an average revenue growth of about 7%. The first half of this graph shows a little stagnant situation. However, we need to look at how the world was looking in the ever peace type of thinking we had that. And in the second part here, we've seen a much better growth, and the trends are pointing into the future in a nice way. For the encryption products in Sweden, we have a strong position. We are the largest actor. We have about 40% of the market share. And in the Netherlands, we're a trustworthy supplier and have been working alongside the customer since many years back. We're the biggest on high assurance crypto in the Netherlands. And we are the main provider in Europe of secret level mobile communication. When it comes to the critical infrastructure, we are a credible provider in Sweden. However, still this segment is in its early days, and we are looking forward to see much more of growth and development going forward. Something that we're really proud of is that we built a pan-European network where the European External Action Service, the European Commission, and as well the Council, they are all using our Tiger system for the highly sensitive communication. So typically when a minister, top-level minister, or state leaders need to discuss certain things, they pick up the Tiger phone from Sectra, and that's the way they handle the situation. We have quite a broad user base in our specialized niche, and more than 20,000 products are delivered. 30 plus different types of systems are in operational use as we speak, and this by more than 100 different organizations around the world. And looking into the future and what is coming next here, we can see some important and interesting trends and drivers in society that are extremely important to our business. Torbjörn mentioned the digitization of the society. We take for granted to have the right information accessible in a secure way between organizations, between people working in a mobile setting, and this is, of course, driving the needs for secure communication. Then we have the troublesome situation with different actors, state actors or other actors on the criminal side with ransomware and so on, that present vulnerabilities to all our IT systems and communication systems. This is unfortunately on the rise, and it's asking for the type of systems we deliver. And then I touched upon the vulnerabilities when the traditional old operational or operational technology or industrial control systems are connected with IT and even internet sometimes. Then new vulnerability vectors are introduced, and this needs to be protected. And in essence, all in all in society, there is an increased understanding of security, and the awareness is going up. And this is kind of an important background to what we are doing each and every day. Defense and security, to continue, is really on the agenda. We read about it, we hear about it each and every day. Nobody has missed the target for NATO member states to target 2% of GDP in defense spending. In Sweden, we see that transition from 1.2% to 2% within a 5-year cycle. The same goes for the other important market to us in the Netherlands, going from 1.47 to 2% in roughly the same time span. And a lot is happening. We see that not only on the policy side, there is a lot of needs, lots of developments of new systems and capability, but we meet this in the everyday dialogue with our customers. They need more systems and they need new functionality. And then there are increased regulatory requirements. This we see specifically within the critical infrastructure business, where EU regulations and others are pointing out that energy companies and other actors running operations critical for our society are requested not only to safeguard, but to continuously monitor and report on vulnerabilities. And our estimation is that the overall and underlying market growth here is with margin above 10%. The needs are growing for sure. And what are we striving for looking ahead? Well, to maintain the pole position we have in the mobile communication on the secret level communication. And we work a lot with product renewal to stay at the forefront and to broaden the customer base. We develop our offering in the restricted segment, and here we expect the biggest growth. And in the critical infrastructure segment, we want to turn investments we made during a number of years into sustainable profitability. And we think there is a good potential to do this, and partially we are looking at doing this through partnership to boost and accelerate the market access. We work with research to stay at the forefront, and some examples of focus areas that we work with is traffic analysis and network protection. It doesn't matter how good our encryption is if antagonists can follow and understand on metadata what communication is being done between what nodes and so on. So this is important. Quantum computation is another shift and technology trend in society, and many have been thinking and asking themselves, okay, is this a danger to the encryption algorithms that we use? And we have one of our researchers specifically focusing on this, and we feel assured and confident that the systems we have already today, they are quantum proof. We work with formal methods also of verification to speed up the approval processes of cryptographic systems that often is quite time-consuming and lengthy. We want to be thought leaders within Europe when it comes to encryption, and we work closely with academia. And to summarize, here my last slide, we are helping the ones protecting our society from the top level, state leadership throughout defense organizations and down to critical infrastructure in various ways. We provide secure data access where needed, when needed, and we ensure collaboration with our tools and equipment and make sure that continuity can be there for the critical processes in society. So that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes my presentation. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Magnus. So at this point, we welcome questions to Magnus about this business area. As I mentioned before, please use the microphone that's next to you so that we all can hear your question. There is one big button on the microphone. Press that, a red light will go on, and that's your green light. Go ahead.
Thank you. On the critical infrastructure, when that was introduced some years ago, it seems the potential was kind of huge, but correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems the uptake has maybe been slower than what was expected. So do you have any comments to that, if it's correct, and why? And
Yeah.
Because it seems the potential should really be huge for that one.
Yeah, I agree with you. It is a relevant and correct observation. We were expecting a quicker boost in this segment. We have seen some of the effects from the pandemic situation, where especially the community-driven organizations within energy companies and so on, they haven't had the abilities, resources to take these kind of bigger steps forward. And also some of the regulations that have been discussed have taken longer time to be introduced. However, that decision was made within EU towards the end of last year, and the implementation needs to be carried out before the end of next year. So yes, it is correct. It has taken slightly longer time than expected.
But would it make sense for you to go outside Sweden, to other Nordic countries, and maybe Europe as well?
It would long-term make sense. However, we've seen that this market segment is quite national. There are different regulations in each and every country. And as you are pointing out, we are seeking to find a kind of the volume that will provide a stable and profitable good business. And we've decided to start our focus in Sweden. But yes, we have our tentacles out. And yes, there are opportunities as well long-term in other countries.
Go ahead.
Rutger Smith. I follow Sectra for quite some years, from a distance, I must admit. This sector is still rather small, and from time to time the profitability has been not that satisfactory. Are you, being a provider to the European Commission and NATO, does that preclude you from selling to some other parties? And what about the United States and countries like Japan, Australia, New Zealand, and so on?
This is, of course, a business of trust, and that means when we work extremely closely together with some of our customers into the top secret level, that will require certain approvals before export can take place. There are no formal stopping points like that, but we have seen that within the European context, we have a good basis where we can be, where we can grow. We have looked at opportunities also in other parts of the world, but this is quite a traditional business where some countries truly focus on their national industry when it comes to cryptographic products, especially on the highest assurance levels. Sweden is a very knowledgeable country within this area with a long heritage from signal intelligence and encryption going back decades. The Netherlands is another one in Europe, and there are just a bunch of these types of countries. And even if we can sell to some countries, certain areas we see that no, the national industry is being protected in a way that doesn't make sense for us to go in there and compete. So it's always a balance where we do believe that we can find good market opportunities.
Any other questions?
Just to add on to that, France is a special country in many views. Have you tried to enter that market?
I think it's an excellent example of some of the trickiness you can see, and from my previous background, I can just as an analogy say that it's not always easy to, or it's not easy to sell, for instance, fighter aircraft from Sweden to France. And I think France is one of the few crypto countries as well in Europe where they have a certain industrial base, and there is a tradition that they are protecting it. So we are not specifically targeting the French market.
Go ahead.
Yes, one question regarding the increased spending on defense, etc. Can you maybe comment a bit on how that's been a constraint for your growth historically, or has it been more of your own ability to not maybe been able to meet customers during the last couple of years? Because I think the growth in the Secure Communications has been a little bit disappointing, at least to me.
I think it's fair to say that the underlying market growth has been quite low during many years within this segment, and I can talk from my long experience within the defense business as well. That has kind of put a certain level and a certain blanket on the capabilities and abilities. At the same time, we have been able to have a growth of 7% in average, and that is kind of much better than the underlying kind of funding increase that in many cases was going like this, downwards. I can also say that we now see the trend is going quickly in the other direction, but due to the long processes in this market, it takes time before we see the effect in revenue streams on our side. But there is a lot happening in the market right now.
Yeah, but would you say that you have been losing market shares in your segment during the last, let's say, 3 years, or have you grown relatively in line with the market, or?
We have not been losing, no. We have been growing as the market, if not slightly better in certain areas. And then this is quite a small niche market, so it's a little hard to find the perfect kind of figures to compare with.
Yeah. And then maybe just the last question on, let's say, the synergies between the business areas. I mean, Torbjörn mentioned that hospitals in the US, etc., are valuing this more and more. But I mean, your business seems to be, I mean, your customers are a bit different, I guess. Can you maybe talk a little bit about how you work with the different segments within Sectra, within the different divisions?
Yeah, of course, as Torbjörn was mentioning, there are a lot of synergies when it comes to the knowledge base and how we look at security. People are moving once in a while between the different segments, and we use each other to soundboard different experiences and knowledge. At the same time, we are looking into at what stage and within what areas it may be relevant to more concretely go into applying the product base and the knowledge within our segment into the medical side. But we have seen that not yet that perfect match has been there on the product side.
Thank you, Magnus, and thanks for all your questions. Magnus will, of course, be available during lunch if you have additional questions, and you will also have a colleague demoing some of our solutions on the upper floor.
That's correct. Don't miss it upstairs. Thank you.
Thank you.